or do you need a microphone right by it? Or
No.
how did it turn out for you?
Okay.
Last time was good?
Last
Okay,
time.
great.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Pam. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Let's do it. Fred?
Thank you.
We're good, it's on. All right,
Okay,
we will call this October 20th, 2020 meeting of the Lawrence County Board of Elections to order. Susan, please call the roll.
Mr. Boyd,
Here.
Mr. Vogler,
Here.
Ms. Spielvogel.
here.
We have quorum. Need public comment? Seeing none?
No, they're calling the office.
New business Dropbox usage.
Yesterday, we did empty the drop box that's located between the double doors here at the courthouse. There were probably $100 in it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That means it's stemming, it prevented 100 more people from coming down to the office and clogging you up.
That's right, that's true. So that will probably work out okay. Today, we will be out to collect the boxes at the Magisterial District Justice offices, as well as here again this afternoon.
Okay.
Are we going to keep track of that data in terms of how many are in?
Yes, I already have a form
There's a
that
form
they
that-
have to take care of with each location.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Awesome. That's because that'll be crucial, I think, down the road.
For the next director.
Well, that's presidential. Next election, there's only going to be 5 people voting, but because the next one's a little one. Good. Is that everything in Dropbox usage?
Yes, sir, that's it.
Polling place correction.
Early on, before we had all the boards in place, we were still trying to get things full. Both Slicker Rocks were reported to be at the municipal building. That's not the case. Both boards now are full, so we will be voting at the fire hall for that one and at the municipal building, so they will be split apart again.
Okay, I'm glad that you commented. I think I stopped me in the parking lot
Yes.
yesterday to talk to me about it.
And that's very good news, because the turnout's going to be high everywhere,
Yeah.
but that's
Right.
very good news, particularly for that township. I'm glad to hear that. So both polling places,
Both polling places for
Slippery Rock
Slippery Rock
Township.
Township will be open.
good.
Be open.
And we will, I'll put the notices, or the public service announcements together in the newspaper for polling place changes. The proclamation has to be in, I'm going to have it printed on Saturday, the 24th. That's the first day that it can be printed. It will also include an entire list of all the polling places, both the ones that we have temporarily moved, as well as showing that we've gone back to some of the other ones. So we're in good shape there.
Excellent.
The classes are well attended, and I thank each group for staying with us and letting them know that it was a joy for me to get everybody back where they belong. So the judges, the inspectors, a few clerks, everybody was there that needed to be there.
You've answered my question. Thank you.
Yep.
Any additional considerations?
Not at this point. We just got to keep the nose to the grindstone. When I came in this morning, we had well over 300 applications for voter registration just alone in the Shore system. There were probably another 100 that were sitting there that came in the mail, both from the Department of State as well as everybody else that was coming in. So that now has ended. We just have to get it all processed. Ballots today is No Mail Tuesday, so it's going to give us a break to get all of that caught up and work through some of the ones that we have problems with, just within the Shore system, not a problem with the ballot itself. Other than that, we're good.
Number of questions for you.
Yes, sir.
How many absentee mail-ins have currently been requested? Roughly.
14,000.
How many are we expecting by the time it's all over?
16 to 17,000,
How many have currently been returned?
over 5,000. So we're about a third of the way there based on what I anticipated.
What's the rate? How many are we expecting to be returned, like percentage-wise?
I would anticipate that we're still going to have, based on the spring, I sent out 9,000, I got 8,000 back. If that were to hold true, I would think 1,500 aren't going to come back. But it's going to be very tough to tell until the end of election day, because they can bring the ballots into the polling place, surrender them, sign the voter's declaration, and then vote in person.
Mhm.
So how many ballots get used, I can't say right now.
Okay, how many registered voters in Lawrence County?
We're over 55,000,
And how many usually turn out for a presidential?
anywhere from 70 to 80%.
Probably say 80% this time around. Last question, how many ballots can our 3 scanners, which we have, they're all DS 400s, right?
450,
450.
yes.
How many can each of those 3 scanners process per hour? 2,000 per hour?
I'm sorry, sir, but I can't tell you that off the top of my head.
Okay, who,
I think it's closer to 900. Yeah, it can't be, because we were done in 3 hours with 8,000 ballots. Let's say they were even up at 4,000, so it has to be over 1,000 an hour.
okay,
Mhm.
we call it 1,000 per hour then,
Yes.
just as a rough
Yes.
estimate. All right, those are all my questions.
So 3 scanners at this point, if we've got
We can do
15,000
3,000 an
back,
hour.
we should be down in 3 hours, assuming no problems.
That's actually pretty good. You figure you start counting at 8:30 because you give a little lag time.
Oh, no, we'd be on it right at 8 o'clock.
Also good to hear.
Horses at the gate.
So in other words, you're
That
saying,
envelope opener will have everything ready. You know I had to say it.
I did. So what you're saying is we'll be done by midnight.
That's my goal, sir. Again, everything has to go perfect.
Well, I know you, everything will go perfect.
But to clarify, let's use that midnight, assuming that's the case, and I certainly hope it would be.
And if I apologize
No, go
for
ahead.
interrupting, but there's still a possibility of maybe being able to pre-canvass beforehand. No, oh, Ed, no, don't say no.
It isn't going to
Say it isn't so.
It isn't going to happen.
I got information from 2 state legislators yesterday. Votes are in the caucus to pass that.
But assuming utilizing midnight in terms of the tabulation of the votes that have been cast at the precincts, as well as the ones that you're allowed to start counting at 8 p.m., that's still not going to be the final number, is it?
No.
Because, and please
We
explain.
will still have any provisional ballots that are voted for the day. Anybody who attempts to surrender a ballot that doesn't have a ballot and the envelope with the declaration on it cannot vote in person. They have to give a provisional ballot. If you've already received or we show that we've mailed you a ballot and you want to vote in person but you have nothing with you, you have to vote a provisional ballot. First-time voters, if you don't have an ID, vote a provisional ballot. We have probably approaching 80 military ballots that will have to be that won't be canvassed until a week after the election. So there are still a few unknowns. Given the fact that this is the first time with regard to implementation fully under Act 77 and 12, I don't know how many provisional ballots are actually going to come back. We will have to investigate those. Individuals are going to have to bring ID in order to get them counted and so forth.
The point being that there's always that possibility, particularly the further down you go on the ballot,
Right.
state house race, state senate race,
Sure.
maybe even Congress, where the results may be very, very close. And based upon what you just described, we may not know the winners for a couple days.
Across the state, that may very well be.
And keep in mind, with our scanner capacity right now, we're in pretty good shape to have, I would say that, 80 to 90%, 95% of the results in by the end of the night.
Mhm.
Other counties are not in as good a position as we are.
Yeah,
So, across the state, we might not know the results of even the presidential
Right.
race if
That's
it's,
right.
if it's close.
Yeah, you're right.
right.
For, upwards of a week or two.
But correct me if I'm wrong, and I think what I'm trying to convey, particularly to those candidates and their supporters
Yes.
for the state house in particular, and
Yes.
maybe state senate and maybe United States Congress, that even though we've got that midnight target, if you will, that estimate that
Yes.
the bulk of the votes are going to be counted. In a very, very close race,
Right,
we still have other work to do that could spill over
correct.
a couple of days. So in a very close race, we may not know the outcome
Right.
until a few days after the election. And I think that between our discussion, we've made that point very clear. I hope no one is caught off guard by that the day after the election, if there is a close race.
Right,
And they come in here saying, well, why hasn't this been done? Or why are these results not official? The fact needs to be pointed out that we talked about this at a public meeting and made it clear that that is a distinct possibility. So it's part of the record.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments from the board?
My only other fear is that a statewide race would be, the result would be less than 0.5%, and then which triggers the mandatory recount. So if we can stay above that threshold, no matter what it is, I'm happy.
With the mandatory recount, that process, do we have to take all of the ballots in each of the machines at the individual precincts and recount them here?
And yes, and you have to count them on a different piece of apparatus.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the ballots that would be used on election day could be run on the 450s, whereas the 15,000 or whatever ballots that we have mail-in
Right,
would be run on multiple sets of DS200s.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we have
Let me
the
ask you
equipment necessary to do it.
We can do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can, without going to a hand count.
that would be difficult when you run out of fingers and toes. I had to say it, I just laugh at it. You go right ahead and I see it starting, you don't want to, you have your fingers and your toes too. You're trying, you bite that lip, you go right ahead.
Well, I don't have a tooth there, it's easy for me.
Okay, carry on.
All right, any further comments?
Well, it's a testament to our voter services and our director that we do have the capabilities. In the event that that does happen, we have the equipment necessary to run that number of ballots on opposite machineries.
How many,
That's phenomenal.
That's true, but it's still also the foresight of the Board of Election and County Commissioners to see to it that we have the necessary equipment and so forth to make it work.
I appreciate that. One last comment for me. When did our guys start today in the elections office?
Depends. I was here at 10 after 5. Jackie and Tim were here by 6. The rest started before 7, and we'll be here till 7.
So be kind, be patient.
With us.
Yes.
So just to
Yes,
clarify,
I'm looking right at the computer, right there where we're live streaming to the staff.
just to clarify, the staff in general are working 12-hour days.
That's correct.
You were working 14, 15-hour days
And Saturdays,
And
and
Sunday.
Sundays.
and now Sundays too.
Just wanna-
Phenomenal
Not
job,
bad for an old fart, huh?
You're doing all right.
phenomenal.
I think you can bump that up to 20 hours, but that's just me.
I give that a shot.
Don't do it.
I will forbid that.
No, you guys are going.
I will forbid,
It takes 2 breaks. So just
yes,
relax.
yes.
Just relax. 2 breaks.
I will
Two
forbid it,
breaks. 2 breaks.
You guys are going above and beyond.
absolutely, without a doubt.
Answer it. I'll tell you this, there are still people that call this office at 7 o'clock on Sundays.
This is true.
And days, the courthouse is
And
closed, the day
closed.
we stopped in, people were calling in.
And constantly.
Mhm.
And we're still, and you're, not where you are still there answering the phones. But your dedication is not unnoticed.
My role in this is significantly different than those that are operating the shore system that stare at that screen for
Oh,
10 and
goodness.
12 hours a day and answering a lot of calls. I looked today and I've answered a bunch of calls. But the calls that I haven't picked up for whatever reason, whether I was still on another one or busy with something else, the staff has now picked up over 1,200 calls just for me.
Mm.
Plus what they've done on their own.
And we're attempting to add another phone line into that office.
Yes.
And that, I mean, that just shows you, it's just unbelievable, unbelievable. But,
So that's where we're at, sir.
right,
Any additional public comment?
anybody? Anyone?
I guess not. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, hearing a motion to second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried, Lawrence County Board of Elections adjourned. Thanks, Ed.
Yeah, I need 1 second of your time after these devices are disabled.
I can't tell you this, if it wasn't for the dedication